Hello and welcome to this month's RV podcast. With me today is unfortunately just Witchily. Everyone else is kind of unavailable or not really feeling up to it, which is fair enough.
We'll manage. We'll be fine.
Could be worse, could be just me. It wouldn't really be much of a podcast then, would it?
Just you talking to yourself. And our audience, of course, our million people audience.
Yeah. Right, so last year was pretty neat. Plenty of good content coming out.
I'd say it was one of the best years Revolt has had, to be honest. I mean, I've not been in the community for too long, I think. Right now, 4 years or something, but out of those 4 years, definitely one of the best.
To be honest, I only really noticed you popping up at around last year.
Yeah, for the longest time, I was just a lurker on the forums too. I just reading everything, not contributing.
So you've basically seen every stupid post I made on the forums.
I have, but don't worry.
It's in the past, and it's absolutely not the person I am now, which is what matters.
To be honest, I have made some posts on the forum. I'm not very proud of them either. Everything since we've joined Discord, that's good.
Yeah. But let's focus on last month, the last month of 2018, because there was quite an abundance of things happening. Most importantly, the Christmas Carnival, which you can talk more about because I wasn't there.
Well, neither was I, to be honest. I was supposed to help organize it, since me and Irv was the one who ended up doing it by himself. Of course, we organized the Halloween Carnival together, but unfortunately, due to time constraints, I wasn't able to help him for Christmas Carnival or actually join in. So a bit unfortunately, neither of us have actually participated in it. But I've watched a bit of the stream, Floxit's recordings. It seemed fun. So
yeah, it did seem.
I believe it was quite a success.
Yeah, it did seem pretty good. According to, if you go by the results, Shara's creation was the most competitive. Well, to be fair, they're all literally the same handling, so Shara did the best. Frisk, surprisingly, grinded his backside off to get that second place.
Yeah, impressive.
Beating Lagrock in third.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, actually beat Lagrock on merit.
Impressive.
Yeah, not bad. There were 12 cars made for this, which was a lot more a bigger abundance of custom-made models for the carnival compared to the Halloween one. And yeah, quite a ton of votes for every car. It had at least 6 votes, which isn't too bad. There wasn't a single car that was clearly not as well liked as others.
Yeah, it ended up being very close, I believe. For like 4 or 3 days or so, the first 2 were tied, right?
Yeah, and then Vic closed the voting after there was a single vote that broke the tiebreaker. Which meant Snowcar by Kiwi won it with 42 votes, and Mighty Cucumber's Panga Claus lost out by 1 vote.
It's unfortunate. I really like both of them.
You see, but my favourite car was Earthmas.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
That is the most cursed thing I've seen all of 2018.
Kiwi's doing pretty good with the carnival so far. I believe he was also the winner of the Halloween Carnival. To be honest, he has been doing a pretty nice job with cars in general.
Never mind cars. Tracks. He released Smallville 2 last month. I've actually quite an embarrassing thing to say and admit, but I haven't tried it yet. I really should.
Don't worry, I can forgive you.
I really should.
You have to take my word for it. It's really good, in my opinion.
It's basically a more speedy variant of Smallville compared to the last one. Because the last one
Yeah,
seems more
indeed.
technical. This one's more high speed, but also technical. There were a lot of
They're both pretty difficult, if you ask me.
the second one used to be more difficult, but Kiwi, on the request of a handful of people, removed some of the more tricky areas and obstacles in the track.
Yep.
And made it more online friendly.
Indeed, I believe there are some clothing paths that were literally unavoidable. So some people took issue with that. Kind of understandable.
Yeah. Shout out to the last track of the year. What's it called? Rush 2049 Downtown by Dispro 50.
Yep. That's actually one that I haven't tried before. So.
Well, I've only really tried it with a drift car, and it's actually really good for drifting, which I will get back to later on in this podcast.
Right.
Now then, we shall move on to what we have in mind for this month.
Exactly.
We have 2 tournaments. One which is the coming weekend, which is Football 2. At the time of this recording, there aren't any teams registered yet. Even Blurg hasn't registered yet, which is quite the shock.
Oh, people need to get on that.
Yeah.
I did believe.
Sorry, go on.
I did believe I saw some people sign up in the channel, but I guess no teams have formed just yet.
No, people are interested, but they haven't really gone out of the way to form teams yet.
Right.
Personally, as long as we have more than 5 teams, if we have more than 4 teams that actually show up to a match, I think it's a success. I just hope that something comes out of it rather than having to cancel it because of the lack of participants.
Yep.
And then the second...
go on. Sorry. I believe a team is 3 persons, right? Or is it 2?
3 to 4.
3 to 4, alright. Yeah, I guess that should be doable with the amount of people on the server. Was the first tournament popular?
Ish. You had 4 teams. There was a 5th one as well, but the 5th one didn't have 3 players in any of their matches, so they had to forfeit all of them.
Right.
Because, 2 of them were very much active the day before the tournament. Then, the day of the tournament, they just disappeared. All day. Which was, something else.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
The second tournament we have this month is a Battletag 1v1 tournament, which is basically like the earlier 1v1 tournaments, except with Battletag tracks.
I was about to say, I believe this is the first time there's ever a Battletag 1v1 tournament, right?
Yeah.
It's a pretty cool idea. To be honest, I've only played Battletag once in my life, and that was a 1v1, but it was very fun.
Yeah, this tournament won't have power-ups, and the timer that it takes to win won't be 2 minutes, but instead be 1.
Alright. I hope that does not cause problems with somebody just getting lucky and finding the star while the other person is at the other end of the track.
I mean, it's up to which track it's on, because if it's like on a couple of tracks might be problematic, but you cannot variably... Actually, now that I think about it, might be a good idea to... because you can return back to lobby and you can change the settings. For the smaller tracks, 1 minute should be okay, but for the larger tracks like Garden, Neighborhood, Blockland, I think 1 minute might be problematic.
Yeah, that sounds good. Just changing it according to which map you're playing on.
I'll keep this conversation in mind and launch, either discuss with the other participants or just launch a poll. Hopefully I don't forget, because I've forgotten a lot of things at this point.
I'll send you a message and hopefully the notification will remind you.
Is there anything else this month happening? That excluding RVIO stuff?
I believe not. Well, talking about upcoming stuff, one of the things I'm personally looking forward towards is a new track by R6 and Marv. So basically the two guys that did Ranch are working on a new one that also looks equally impressive from what I've seen so far.
Is it Ranch
But
2?
It's not. It's Jura, if I'm pronouncing it correctly. As in, well, Jurassic Park, so Jura probably. Basically, as you can probably guess by now, it's themed around a dinosaur park. If I'm correct, actually, I believe so, or at least a museum of sorts featuring dinosaurs. And yeah, like I said, looks pretty cool to me. Looks pretty long also, a bit like Ranch itself. So we have to look forward to that one. I'm not sure. I don't think it will come out next month. It seems like too big of a project, unless they really push.
It'll come out in January. You just didn't specify which year.
Ah, right.
If it's a dinosaur park, what they could do is grab an animation, a green screen animation of a dinosaur walking around, and just put that on some sort of texture animation in the background.
Oh, that sounds pretty cool. Yeah, just put it far enough away that you can't quite tell that it's just a flat texture.
Yeah.
Or maybe just a shadow or something. Just see a shadow walking by in some dark corner.
So yeah,
something like that.
Marv and R6, if you're listening, do consider this.
These are these art fee. We're gonna need some royalty.
In other upcoming tracks, we have Paint Art making another Warehouse Showdown track. It's
right.
I've personally tried I've tried it because he sent it to me. It's the bumpy because the first one is basically just concrete around those bollards. I think I'm going them correctly. Whereas the second one also includes an off-road section with tire walls.
Oh really? I didn't see that from the screenshots yet.
And the bumpy section works quite well, even with drift cars.
Right, because the first one was mostly aimed at drift cars, is that correct, right?
He didn't actually design it for drift cars. It just happened to be coincidentally good for drifting.
Ah, alright.
But this one there's a lot more room for error because he made the concrete section a lot more. He made all the corners a lot more spacious and less claustrophobic, like the first one was. And a lot more easier to follow.
Yeah, sounds like a good change to me.
And the way the track is set up, I'm sure a reversed version will also be possible.
Sounds good.
Yeah. And the other track that's coming out this month is a recreation of a certain Gran Turismo track.
Ah, right. And who made it?
Ah. It's me. But yeah, that's coming along really well, considering how early I've started it. I'd say I'm about 70% done with the modelling. All I really need to do is just flesh out the remaining bits of the track, fill the gaps, refine some of the corners, add some of the curbs to a handful of the corners, optimize the collision file and the world file, and then they make good stuff. And then after that, split up the track into the longer variant and the shorter variant.
Alright.
So it's basically, you're getting two tracks in one.
Yeah.
So.
Do you think you have it finished by January?
Easy. I was hoping, looking back, quite an unrealistic hope, but I was hoping to be able to get something ready for release tonight or tomorrow.
Oh, really?
With Make It Good stuff, but I don't think that's going to be possible for a while.
I'd say next. Well, maybe.
I'd say
maybe
next
tonight.
week.
Right. Maybe, well, who knows when the podcast airs? At that point, it's a little bit closer.
Yeah, give it a couple of weeks and it'll definitely be done. Because as much as I wish I could just stay at home all day and work on this, I do have real life obligations to commit to. I just wish those obligations involved a job and an actual income, but let's not get into that. So yeah, speaking of racetracks and all that, I can't really speak on the behalf of what Vic has in mind for the IVR packs. He does have a lot of things in mind, which he mentioned last month in last month's podcast. But I have plans to revise the drift collection. Because the track pack could do with some overhauling. There is one track which I want to get rid of, because it has been absolutely dreadful for online drifting, which is
Which one is that?
Daybreak Raceway.
Alright, why is that one so bad?
It's too narrow. Like, I personally can drift that no problem, but some other cars just cannot. They just cannot deal with
right.
it. Like trying to drive the Sakura drift car, and it doesn't end well. And like when multiple cars are going through a corner, and the grass is like the equivalent of a blue shell. If even one wheel touches it, because that's how I set it up to minimize corner cutting. But yeah, if one wheel touches the grass, that's it. You're done. And with drift cars, you don't really want to lose control.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, with Daybreak Raceway is going to go out, unless someone can convince me otherwise. But what is hopefully coming in is Rush 2049 Downtown, which is quite a nice, surprisingly, very good for drifting. Hopefully, if I can finish my track this month, those two tracks are going in. Both will have a reversed variant as well.
Right.
There'll be fixes for Amco Drift 2 May reversed, because when we last raced it, some people brought up the fact that it didn't have reposition. It didn't have any reposition notes or whatever. That doesn't really make sense. Either there aren't any reposition triggers, or there aren't any AI notes to reposition to. Either way, that needs
I'm guessing
fixing.
it's the latter then. Yeah.
Because some people brought that up, and I was like, yeah, noted.
Of course, since you never crash, you never notice it yourself.
Yeah.
Are you planning on updating the cars as well, or
yeah, I'd like to I've already started tinkering around with some existing car models and turning them into drift cars.
Alright.
What I have in mind is introducing a couple more front-wheel drive drift cars in the DH.
Does that work well? Does that work well, front-wheel drive drifting?
It's bizarre. It works, but it's less drifting and more power sliding. But it's still not any less valid. Your best bet is to try it out yourself, because the current drift pack does have a front-wheel drive car in the D2 GP class. It's a Civic Type R.
Alright, I give it a go.
Yeah, I'll add a couple of more, and then for the D1 GP class, I'll add a couple of other well-known Japanese cars if I can get a hold of some good models of them. Because after a while, seeing the same cars can get a bit still, and it's nice to introduce a bit of variety. And only that, they'll renew some interest in the whole drifting circles.
Right, yeah, you've been hosting some sessions, right? Have those been popular?
Yeah, it's been picking up lately. Hopefully
That's good.
I can maintain that momentum. But it varies. It really varies on who's around and who isn't. But even if there are like at least 4 to 5 people, I consider that okay.
Yeah, sure. I mean, really from Trio out, you already have a fun lobby, if you ask me.
Yeah. Some people can really give me a headache and have to force me to not use the Salady and force me onto a better car, which is quite annoying because I really enjoy the Salady, but I don't enjoy how slow it is compared to people driving faster cars competently. But yeah.
There is one more thing I believe we have to discuss before we go into the Q&A.
Oh yeah.
And that is pretty important actually. Revolt's 20th anniversary. We already mentioned it last month, I believe, when we introduced the fact that the carnivals will be yearly. Just to recap, that was the Halloween Carnival, Christmas Carnival, which both have been, both have passed currently, but also the Revolt Carnival itself, celebrating this anniversary. And of course, like I said, this one is extra special since it's the 20th anniversary. Vic has mentioned that he has set up a channel on the Discord that is not actually public yet, but once it will go public, it will allow us to discuss what we actually plan on doing for this special occasion, since we don't actually have a plan yet.
It's basically like, oh my god, Revolt's 20 years old, what do we do? Be excited and watch it go by.
Yeah, I believe the biggest thing people have mentioned is a meetup, but I haven't actually seen any, concrete plans of that. I believe so far it's just a, well, I wish, really.
I mean, it'd be cool for that to happen, but that's a lot of logistics and money, which I'm not sure everyone involved would have.
I believe there have been meetups before, but that was
Italy.
with like 4 or 5. Oh, that was it. Oh, right, that's the ARM community, I believe.
Yeah, the only proper meetups that happened was in Italy and in London.
Alright.
Because in London, Vic, Marv, Rick, Red Ricky, and me, and Skarma, and a couple others met up.
Really?
Yep.
That sounds quite
it was November of 2016. It's pretty...
Not even that long ago.
Yeah, it was a pretty good meetup. Still the best one I've had so far.
Did you go to the other one as well, then?
Which?
The one in Italy, since you said best one to me, or was just best one because it was the only one you visited?
It's biased, basically. I've only been to London and I haven't been to Italy.
Right.
It'd be too expensive to go to Italy. It's just me going, yes, it was the best, it was the better one because I was there.
I believe
Well,
that one was hosted by the ARM community then.
I'm sure the Italians had a good time as well.
Yeah, I believe I've seen pictures once. They also actually visit a real RC track and actually also have their own RC cars, so it looks pretty good.
Definitely a lot more committed than most of us, which is pretty respectable,
Yeah, indeed. I'm surprised that, we're on quite an international server, but they alone, as just people from Italy, I believe, are able to get such an audience, really.
They're quite self-sufficient and they have the network for it.
Yep.
So yeah, with all that wrapped up, the last thing remaining is all of the questions submitted to us. This month, however, we only have 2 questions. And it's not like these 2 questions are, simple or anything. The first one asks, who was the best creator of this year? By this, they're referring to 2018.
Right.
That's a subjective answer, but also very much an obvious one if you split up between tracks and cars. personally,
Yep.
a lot of
I think we've both got exactly the same
Yeah.
people in mind.
yeah, like almost everyone agrees that the best car maker was Zark. His output this
Yep.
year, I say this year, his output in 2018 was next to none. I don't think anyone's been so consistently good.
Yeah, let me just here. If I look up Sark on Revolt Zone, yeah, of course I can't really sort out the dates, but I already got 14 pages of just his content. So just to give you an idea, that's of course also with tracks and stuff, but still, that's probably the most active contributor to content Revolt has ever had.
I hope he never, like, at one point when he was just churning them out, I was like, is this guy going to burn out? I really hope he doesn't. Don't overwork yourself. Take your time. Nobody minds, nobody's rushing you. Take your time. But
Yeah, I
clearly,
believe at some point he did 4 a week, every weekend, with a nice package waiting on Revolt Zone.
I mean, he's slowed down a bit now. He's mellowed out, which is absolutely fine. I mean, after
Now he's just
after
on an insane level, as opposed to just godlike.
yeah, after like 10 pages of content, I think he can pat his back and just, sit back, relax, and enjoy himself.
Right.
But track-wise, easily Kiwi for the 2 Sparbolt tracks. Some may argue Marv and R6 for the Ranch. But what those people fail to realize is that Ranch was being made for over 2 years. Yeah, it's been made for 2 years, and Sparvolt. Kiwi started on Sparvolt in 2018 and finished both variants in 2018.
Yep.
And not only that,
um,
Sparvolt was his debut track.
Exactly, I was just gonna mention that it's the first track he has ever made. I believe he has done original car models before that, but to be a first timer in tracks and actually make not 1 but 2 of these kinds of quality tracks in just 1 year, a bit less even. I believe he started later than January. That's like really good. So I definitely agree with you. Sark for cars and Kiwi for tracks. I believe we can also give a honorable mention to Mighty Cucumber for cars. I've been really enjoying his content as well. Of course, he puts out a bit less than Xark, but yeah, to be honest, who doesn't? It's more that Xark is the exception than Mighty Cucumber, and his cars are really good quality, like almost stock-like, just like Xark.
Shout out to Alex for his tracks and conversions.
Right, I almost forgot about that. He did the conversions for the Mario Kart Wii community, right?
Yeah. Not just that, he did a couple other Mario Kart tracks as well. On top of Santorini, which in itself is a pretty nice track.
Yep, Santorini's great.
And also shout out to Zark again, because his tracks aren't no slouch either.
Yeah, he doesn't just do cars, but actually we forgot to mention that, I believe, but another track that was released this month was actually by him, Snowland 1, I believe, and look at that 1, so who knows, maybe in January we'll have Snowland 2, I hope so.
Actually, Snowland came out on Christmas Day.
That's nice.
So did Night City by Sweet Tooth Flower, which is not a bad track. A bit claustrophobic, but still pretty good for drifting. I've been thinking about that one. But anyway, let's move on to the next question, which asks, when will the track making tutorial be finished with all the nuances and tricks from A to Z? For example, what is and how we use instances, how to add pre-made elements to a track from other tracks or other Blender projects, etc. Track sounds so that a 10 out of 10 track could be made by learning everything from the tutorial. I feel like having an extensive tutorial to make Sparvolt level tracks would be amazing. But firstly, the amount of effort it would take to get there would take as much effort as multiple spa vaults. Secondly, we're not in charge of making the track tutorials, Witchelly and I. That's more something that should be saved. Actually, we should probably keep this question in mind when Marv is next available for the podcast. Alternatively, I could have just forwarded this question on to him, and then I could be like, well, Marv isn't here, but he said this. Just like how Vic did the same thing regarding an RVGR question last month or the month before.
Yeah, maybe that sounds good.
Basically, we don't have an answer for that.
Yeah, I believe actually, I wouldn't be surprised if someone is actually up for making a track tutorial. That's of course Marv would be willing to add it to the website. So if there's anyone that has the available time, the available skill to do that, I'm sure Marv wouldn't mind if you gave him a little help with that. I guess the problem really is that to make a really good tutorial you actually have to do it alongside making the track, so you can just easily show every step instead of looking back from a finished project like, oh yeah, this is what you had to do. It's probably a lot better to actually go like, right now I'm going to do this in this order, and explain why you're doing everything. So
yeah.
It's gonna require a lot of effort to actually do that. That's basically, I think, why it hasn't been finished yet. Yeah, effort. It takes a lot of time to make such a thing.
But I'm sure it'll pay off, because imagine if we had an explosion of tracks the same way we had an explosion of cars with Zark last year.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's very
granted,
true.
looking back, I'd say we did have an explosion of incredible tracks last year. It's not going to be something that'll be easily topped this year. I mean, can you really see 2 spa vaults and a ranch released this year?
Yeah, true. I guess, I guess you're right. But it just feels like it hasn't been as much because, well, of course, tracks are made at a much slower pace than cars, so even if you get a lot of tracks released, there's still a lot of space between them. But like you said, yeah, to be honest, it has been a pretty good year for tracks in 2018.
It's been a great year for tracks, cars, online rate. It's been a great year all around for the community in terms of engagement and content.
Exactly. And
hopefully we can come pretty close to that this year as well.
Yep, that'd be good.
That's all our questions for this month. I believe that's it. In terms
I believe you're right.
Yeah. Alright then. Thanks for having us. We'll see you next month. Hopefully with more people.
Yeah. Oh well, I believe every single podcast has a different amount and different people. So it keeps it interesting.
Yeah, hopefully we can get on top of that next month. Fingers crossed. But yeah.
Yep.
We shall see you then.
See y'all.